Cubs Spring Training is presented by Circa Sports Illinois. They're two teams forever linked by history, but a lot has changed since that epic World Series in 2016. A whole bunch of new players meet in Mesa. Cubs hosting the Cleveland Guardians at sunny Sloan Park. Hi, everyone. A pleasant good afternoon to you. Alongside Lance Brzezowski, I'm Zach Zaidman. So happy to have you with us. Some things, Lance, never change. Kyle Hendricks, the Game 7 starter, on the mound today. But our first focus is going to be on some of the newest Cubs.
Absolutely. Michael Busch is the guy I'm watching today playing first base. In particular, how he's going to fare against a left-handed pitcher who the Cubs may protect him against somewhat during the season, but I really like it in spring when we get opportunities for guys like this to improve incrementally versus something maybe they slightly struggle with. He was pretty good versus left-handed pitching at AAA. Allen today for the Guardians is a funky lefty, four-seam sweeper. It's a difficult matchup for him, and it's one I'm watching.
Busch is the cleanup man today. Coming up, a new perspective on the professor as Elise Menaker joins us.
When a rookie stunt.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Marquee Sports Network is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Through it all. By Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer today. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards.
Kyle Hendricks, your starter today, and it's always so interesting because you can get that dual perspective from Craig Counsell, right? He's managing these players now, but it wasn't long ago that he was managing against them. Kyle Hendricks, no exception. I asked, what is it, the value that he brings? He said, we all learn from Kyle. He's quiet, but he's always open to talking. He's just great to have around. Now, what wasn't so great when you managed against him, that changeup. He said, Kyle just has this elite command. His ball moves more than you think, but when it comes to that command, he has the ability to hit the zone on the black, maybe one baseball inside of it, one baseball outside of the zone. It's not always just being in the zone. You know, we know he doesn't throw that hard, but as Counsell described, you're kind of always asking yourself, okay, what's he doing? He doesn't have high velocity, but he's doing it really well. He's really good at it, so I have to respect it. And Lance, I'm sure when you dive into the numbers on Hendricks, I mean, that's kind of the incredible thing about him. He's so unique. There's not many like him.
It's a winner, that's what he is for sure. Elise, thank you. The starting pitcher for the Cubs is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Hendricks making his second start of the spring.
Elise shouting me out in her open. I appreciate that, Elise. Yeah, Kyle Hendricks on the bump. We got a fun set here on the right side. Value is known as run value. Think of this as almost like an accounting system for how a pitch performs and how it contributes to run prevention. The higher the number here means you've accumulated more strikeouts, balls in play that go for outs, etc. And you can see up here the changeup at 12 is really solid. Anytime you're you're kind of above 10, that's really good. 0 is pretty much a neutral pitch. But we all know Hendricks throws that changeup a ton. It works to either handedness. He has 2 different orientations. It's a really fun pitch, and he is a very fun pitcher.
Lance, it's a split squad for Cleveland. The Guardians lineup is brought to you by Ford. Brian Rocchio is the shortstop and the leadoff man for Cleveland. Tyler Freeman bats second. He plays center field. Will Brennan, the right fielder, hits third. The cleanup man is Davison De Los Santos, the first baseman. Austin Hedges, the catcher, in the number 5 hole. John Kenzie Noel, the designated hitter, bats 6th in the number 7 hole. Angel Martinez, the second baseman. Jonathan Rodriguez in left, bats 8th. Juan Brito, the third baseman, is the number 9 hitter. And we are underway as Rocchio looks at a ball up high. 1-0 the count. Little less pressure than when these two teams met in Game 7 of the 2016 World Series. A one-hopper snagged easily by Bush, who steps on the bag, 1 away. The defensive setup for the Cubs is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield. And among the people that will be available after Kyle Hendricks today, Adbert Alzolay, who did such a terrific job as the closer last season. Edwin Escobar, one of the newcomers. Porter Hodge, tall right-hander. Another newcomer, Hector Neris, who comes over from Houston with a whole bunch of experience. Tyler Freeman is the batter, and he looks at a strike from Hendricks.
First pitch ground out there for Rocchio to start off the game. This Guardians lineup is a lot of contact hitters, 1, 2, 3 here, and then you have Davison De Los Santos, who's a huge raw power guy. Talk about diversity at the top 4.
That pitch just outside, 1-1 the count. Freeman manning center field for the Guardians. Fouls this one away, 1-2.
Back-to-back changeups away there. One thing I'm always curious about with Hendricks, last year he didn't throw his curveball a lot. The usage on that really came down, and he throttled his changeup usage. I feel like every spring we always see him throw 4 to 5 maybe curveballs an outing, and regardless of how that pitch actually then translates into the regular season for him. So I'm keeping an eye for that. Ooh, it hit him.
It hit him, so Freeman heads to first.
I don't mind that sequence though from Hendricks. He goes back-to-back changeups down away. Looks like he might have grazed his back forearm there potentially, and then he goes sinker up in. You know, you play with velo inside versus velo softer down away. That's the classic Hendricks combination against right-handed hitters: the changeup away with sinker in.
So now the batter is Will Brennan, the right fielder. Man at first and 1 away, just underway in Mesa. Cubs and Guardians.
Brennan, another guy with a very low strikeout rate at the major league level. He was right around 12% last year. The league average is somewhere up around 20 or more percent.
Hendricks steals outside for a ball, 1-0. 24 starts last year for the Professor. Went 6-8 with a 3.74 ERA. As he returned from that shoulder injury in fine fashion. The runner goes, the pitch bounces into center field, but Freeman will stay at second base.
And with that contact nature, it's not surprising that a lot of these guys at the top of the Guardians lineup like running a lot. So that gives Gomes some work early there, throws a little bit to the right of Swanson into center field. I'd like to see the jump there, and Brennan, we're not going to get a replay, but that is a huge implication, I think, on whether a guy's successful on a stolen base. Probably not Gomes' fault there that he's on second.
Freeman's second stolen base of the season. Here's the 2-0. One hopper to short, backhanded by Swanson, across the body throw for out number 2. The defensive setup for the Cubs is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield. For the Cubs, in the outfield from left to right, it's Miles Mastrobuoni, Mike Tauchman in center field, and Seiya Suzuki in right. Nick Madrigal manning third today. The Gold Glover, Dansby Swanson at short. Luis Vasquez is the second baseman. Michael Bush at first, and behind the plate, it's the veteran Yan Gomes with Kyle Hendricks on the mound. And Davison De Los Santos at the plate. And he bounces one through into left field around third, and coming home is Freeman. The throw cut off, and the Guardians strike first. A 1-0 lead over the Cubs after the RBI single by Davison De Los Santos.
That's a classic case of what you'd call on my nerd side here, getting babbipped, right? Batting average on ball in play. The ball just kind of snuck through left side. It's not a hard hit ball. It's just placed to a part of the infield where there's a high probability of it being a hit, even with a guy like Dansby Swanson's range, Mastrobonian left. Not the best arm, but no, that's okay. Like if you're Hendricks, if you give up a run in this game in the spring outing, it's on that piece. I imagine he will be very content with that.
The catcher, Austin Hedges, at the plate. He looks at a strike on the outside corner. Do you call yourself a nerd?
Yeah, definitely.
Coolest hair I've ever seen on a nerd. Hendricks steals outside.
The curveball. That's the curveball we're talking about right there. He's going to give a couple of these. I have no idea whether it's going to actually make its way into the season. Whenever I have a conversation with our guy, Rick Sutcliffe, we always talk about the Hendricks curve and how much he's going to throw it. I know a couple years ago, Sut was really on him, making that a bigger part of his repertoire. But again, he backed off it last year, and he was really successful.
Did that hit him? Yeah, it did.
Another sinker up in. Catching the back forearm of a righty. Let's see this again. Yeah, it's check swing. We've seen two of these in this inning. Check swing, back forearm kind of comes through and exposed. I don't know if that's a bad pitch for Hendricks. That's exactly where he wanted, especially if you get a hitter. His hands moving, somewhat committing to the pitch before he actually seeing the result. But I don't know if that's bad pitching from Hendricks.
So 2 on, 2 out for the Guardians here in the first. And John Kenzie Noel looks at a strike. The Guardians designated hitter, a big man, 6'3", 260 pounds.
Hendricks with 4 hit by pitches all of last season. He's got 2 in 2/3 of an inning here.
Swing and a miss. Hendricks never appears rattled, no matter the situation in any game. You can't tell by looking at him if there's a lot of traffic on the bases, if he's winning, if he's losing.
I love the pitching ninja tweets of Hendricks showing emotion as he's walking off the mound, regardless of outcome. Great pitch.
Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Coming up for the Cubs, Tauchman, Suzuki, and Swanson as we head to the last of the first. Getting set for the last of the first in Mesa. Guardians leading the Cubs 1-0. Let's take a look at the Cubs lineup, brought to you by Binny's Beverage Depot. If you can't find it at Binny's, it's probably not worth drinking. Mike Tauchman, the leadoff man, he's in center field. Seiya Suzuki bats second. Dansby Swanson, the shortstop, hits third. The cleanup man today is the new first baseman, Michael Bush. the number 5 hitter. Jan Gomes, the catcher. Nick Madrigal in the number 6 spot. He's at third. Miles Mastrobuoni, the left fielder, hits 7th. Joe Hudson and Luis Vasquez round out the Cubs lineup as Tauchman fouls the first pitch away. The starting pitcher for the Guardians is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
Logan Allen on the bump here, another lefty. And we talked about run value on the right side there with Hendricks. You see a very similar situation with Logan Allen. The best pitch he had last season was his changeup. That run value is essentially a counting system trying to demonstrate how important that pitch is to run prevention. As you accumulate higher numbers there, as it increases into the positives, it means you're striking out guys, creating weak contact. If it's a negative pitch, then it's one that probably has a different purpose in a repertoire, potentially setting up other pitches. As he gets called for a strike there. Painted fastball away. Good start for Allen.
So Tauchman retired, 1 down. It'll bring up Seiya Suzuki for the Cubs. Seiya hitting at .333 this spring as he looks at a strike from Allen, the left-hander.
You know, as I was breaking down Logan Allen, I say he actually kind of reminded me of a guy on the Cubs side, Jordan Wicks.
Martinez makes the play to first, 2 down for the Cubs. The defensive setup for the Guardians is brought to you by Northwestern Medicine. In left field, it's Jonathan Rodriguez. The center fielder for the Guardians is Tyler Freeman. And Will Brennan out in right field. The third baseman, Juan Brito. Brian Rocchio, sure-handed shortstop with the glove. Angel Martinez at second base. Davison De Los Santos at first. And Austin Hedges, the veteran, behind the plate. With Dansby Swanson at the plate. 1-0 the count.
And I say Allen reminds me of Wicks because it's changeup first, low velo fastball, mixes in the sweeper cutter as well. So there's some parallel between those two guys. So maybe guys that have faced Jordan Wicks on the backfields in Mesa are a bit comfortable going into this at-bat knowing that the mix is very similar to a guy in the Cubs organization they may have faced.
Swanson looks at a ball outside, 2-1 the count. Allen just 25 years old, played his college ball at Florida International. 3-1. Allen, a second-round pick in 2020. Tap foul, full count.
Dansby creates a lot of his slug on that inner third of the plate right there. That's an interesting kind of challenge fastball from Allen. I imagine those pitches, those fastballs inside, especially from lefties, as this spring kind of progresses, is something that Swanson will definitely lock in on. If you look at his slug heat maps, as you call them, of each of the last 3 or 4 seasons, that upper third portion of the zone is always covered really well.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Cubs go down in order in the first, 1-0 Guardians.
As ball
Top two in Mesa. Cleveland's second baseman Angel Martinez leading things off for the Guardians. They've got a 1-0 lead over the Cubs. Angel Martinez, the son of former Cubs catcher Sandy Martinez, who was behind the plate for Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game against the Astros back in 1998. There are many who say that might be the best pitch game in the history of Major League Baseball. Fly ball hit to deep left center field, and this one will bang off the wall. Fielded by Mastroboni, but sliding in safely for a double is Angel Martinez. And that day in May of 1998 against Houston, an all-timer. 20 strikeouts for Woody. Martinez there behind the plate. It's amazing. I was looking back at the starting lineup for the Cubs that afternoon. These are names of yesteryear. Brant Brown was in center field. Mickey Morandini at second base. Sammy was in right. Mark Grace was the cleanup man at first. Henry Rodriguez in left field. Jeff Blauser was the shortstop. Remember Kevin Ory? He was the third baseman that day.
I think one of the things that always jumps out to me about that Wood game is now we see so much on social media, everyone posting incredible pitches. Look at this sweeper. Look at that comeback sinker to the outer third, fastball with a run. I almost feel like to some extent we forget that many of those shapes happened in the past. And I think that Kerry Wood game is a fantastic example of that. If you watch that rip there, it's pitches that are moving unlike, very similar to how pitches move now that we almost say is something that guys aren't doing anymore. But Wood was, you'd call almost the OG sweeper guy with that nasty buckling sweeping slider curveball slurve, whatever you want to call it, going away from righties. But I'm always fascinated by the movement on his ball.
Jonathan Rodriguez at the plate, 1-2 the count with a man at second and no one out here in the second. Hendrick steals. Little tapper to third. Madrigal's got it. And the throw a little offline, but Michael Bush able to make the play at first, one away. Kyle Hendricks was the Game 7 starter for the Cubs in the 2016 World Series. And overall, he was vintage professor in that fall classic. Pickoff play at second base, and just diving in safely is Martinez.
Martinez a little jumpy on the base paths there. We see Roki with a stolen base in the first inning. Yeah, he got a second there a bit early there. This is a good back pick by Hendricks to try to get him.
Juan Brito, the third baseman, at the plate for the Guardians, looks at a ball. Now the 1-0. High and outside.
Now, I can't say I'm the biggest shoe guy. I got to pass that torch probably to Boog, but Brito here and Martinez on second, both rocking what looked like some Jordans, and I got to admit, these are pretty fresh looks for some of these Guardians guys. I like it a lot. I know the Cubs coaching staff often has very strong shoe game, as I believe people say. It's a great shot right there. Those are fresh. Burritos are fresh. They're all synced up. I like it. I got to up the shoe game. I'll talk to Boog maybe. You got shoe games, Zach?
Not really.
I'm looking at your feet right now. I don't think those are Jordans. But
are you allowed to say that on television? That one's fouled back by Brito. Yeah, the Guardians have a whole bunch of young players, which explains the interest in the shoes and the fashion.
See that.
Brito, 22 years old. Swing
there you go.
This.
Nasty changeup down the way there. 3-1 pitch. There's not a lot of guys 3-1 that are going to go to an off-speed pitch like that. That ball's probably even slightly below the zone as well. The confidence he has in that changeup in all counts is impressive.
Hendrick steals. Outside, ball 4. So now the Guardians have men at first and second with just one away, and the top of the order due up, Ryan Rocchio. Hendricks calling his own pitches via the PitchCom device. You see it attached to his belt. Most of the time, catchers do it. I believe Hendricks is the only pitcher on the Cubs that calls his own pitches.
Seems to be something tied to seniority, I imagine. Although Gomes is a senior as well. So I imagine Gomes and Hendricks have a hive mind of sorts, though. There's probably not too much disagreement between the two of them in terms of sequencing and how they're both reading hitters, given how long they've been in the game.
The pitch. That catches the corner for a strike. Yeah, Jamison Tyone at one point last year was calling his own pitches via that PitchCom device, but then decided to stop doing that. Bounced foul. And Hendricks likes to work quickly. This just enhances that pace. He knows exactly what he wants to do. So why wait?
Exactly. 1-2 count here too. Hendricks all last season only allowed 1 walk to batters in the #1 slot in lineups.
Ground ball takes a high hop at first. Nice play by Bush. There's one, and Swanson elects not to make a throw to first. 2 away.
And he keeps that streak going to some extent in the spring here. It's a 1-2 ground out there. That's kind of crazy. That's a kind of incredible set. I mean, he doesn't walk a lot of guys in the first place, so I can't imagine many of the guys that he faces in any spot of the order are walked at a high rate. But 1 walk all season. Do we know who that was? Kick that back to the truck. Curious.
Put in a whole lot of
2
pressure.
outs. I know. What am I doing here? I know. I'm learning.
Tyler Freeman at the plate, throw to first. And sliding back in safely is Rocchio. I'll bet you Hendricks knows.
I bet he does.
Another throw over. You know, in spring training, we should be able to, from our broadcast position, be able to tap into the hearing device that he's got in the flap of that cap.
Hey, before you call that pitch, who did you walk last year in the 1 spot of the order? You remember Hendricks?
Fisted into right field for a base hit, and that'll bring home a run as Martinez scores, and the Guardians take a 2-0 lead here in the second over the Cubs on the RBI single by Tyler Freeman.
And that 1-hitter Hendricks walked last year in the #1 spot was Christian Yelich of the Brewers, so that's a pretty good hitter. And this also plays in. We've seen the Davis and De Los Santos RBI single and this jam shot the other way, both low exit velocity batted balls. Hendricks is a guy who continually does this in his career, has done it in his career, allows really low exit velocity on everything he throws. It's a byproduct. I think of how much his ball moves, sinker, or the changeup sequencing off that. It's just a funky mix. There's not a lot of guys who throw 2 changeups, 2 different kinds of changeups, which Hendricks does. He does a really good job of limiting hard contact.
So 2-0 Cleveland, men at first and second with 2 away. And the #3 hitter in the lineup, Will Brennan at the plate. Looks at a ball up high. Brennan grounded out in his first at-bat in the first. 26 years old. Up high, 2-0. Last year, Brennan hit .266, 5 home runs, 41 RBIs. Talked a little bit about this earlier. One of many Cleveland players that once he's on the bases is a factor. Fly ball hit to deep center. Talkman underneath it now in right center. He makes the catch, and that ends the inning. But the Guardians put up another run, 2-0 as we head to the last of the second. Cubs fans, sign up now for the Marquee Sports Network app and receive free spring training baseball by using the promo code SPRINGTRAINING24 at watchmarquee.com. Sign up now for free Cubs baseball. Last of the second, Cubs down 2-0. And Michael Busch at the plate. The cleanup man. Here's the 0-1. Outside.
Busch is the guy we talked about in the open. This is the matchup kind of the day for me. He's not going to, I don't think, a ton of left-handed pitching this season, or at least they're going to protect him, I think, against the bigger left-handed pitchers. You know, the front office and others have talked about how they got him to face right-handed pitching, but he was actually a pretty decent hitter versus lefties at AAA. It's just a matter, I guess, of facing better lefties, how he performs. Allen, I think, is in that category. He's a funky guy. He's low 90s. Fastball sweepers primarily, I think, when he's going to see in this at bat. 2-2 count here.
Pop foul out of play.
And that was a sweeper. Kind of looks like a curvy slurve ball out of his hand. But he's going to rip that down away. Busch versus righties, lefties right there. Yeah, I mean, demolished righties, right? Anytime you see a 600-plus slug, it's great. But I think that's really respectable versus lefties.
Inside check swing. Did he go? No. Full count with Busch at the plate. Just 26 years old. And a monster year in the minor leagues last year for the Dodgers. Their minor league player of the year. And Busch draws a walk to begin the last of the second. Let's send it downstairs and say hello again to Elise Menninger.
As you guys talk about the approach of Busch, you know, something that Dustin Kelly brought up is that Busch is a lefty hitter but a righty thrower. So when he's at the plate, that top hand isn't as strong, because usually, say if you're like a righty hitter and a righty thrower, that top hand, they're the same. So it's going to be a little bit stronger. So Busch, what he can work on over time is making that top hand stronger, and then that will allow him to be more direct to the ball. And then Lance, I think when you're describing how he does against lefties, being that more direct, stronger top hand, we even saw him kind of motion it at one point. That can contribute just possibly being better against lefties.
Great report. I love that, Elise. Do you think that top hand helps, particularly with pitches up or down? Like, what do you think is the biggest advantage of that, Elise?
I think the pitch is up, because you have to stay on top of it. You don't want to get underneath it when you see guys slice it. I mean, I thought Busch did a great job on that last pitch. It can be really tempting with 2 strikes to want to hit that up in the zone. But most importantly, if you can take it up and then just see it down, that's when you can have a lot of success.
Yan Gomes at the plate. He waits for the 1-1 and taps it foul. 1-2 the count. Yeah, Busch, a first-round pick by the Dodgers in 2019, number 31 overall. That was the draft where Adley Rutschman went first, Bobby Witt Jr. second, Andrew Vaughn third. Quite a draft.
It's a really good draft. Really good player, too, that just kind of got blocked in the Dodgers organization.
Up the middle, fielded by Martinez. 1 away. Cubs fans, single game tickets are on sale. Don't miss a second of the action, the matchups, and the magic. You have to see it. Visit Cubs.com/tickets. So 2 down, and the batter, Nick Madrigal. Looks at a strike. Madrigal playing third today, hitting at 300 this spring. The pitch. 1-1.
It's that changeup down away from Allen. You saw a ton of fastball sweeper to the lefty in Busch. He mixes in now a changeup and a cutter when he faces righty. So it's a bit more of a guessing game, so to speak, as what you're going to get from Logan Allen as a righty versus a lefty.
Madrigal hit .262 in 92 games last season. Hits one on a button to right, and making the catch is Brennan for out number 3. We head to the third. Guardians up 2-0.
My heart was failing because of blood clot.
Welcome back to Cubs baseball on Marquee. We're in the top of the third inning as Hendricks goes into his third inning of work. And let's talk about location. We know Kyle Hendricks is really good at locating fastballs and changeups and everything. And we even have some statistics now via Fangraphs that show us exactly how often he puts pitches in the correct spot for them to succeed. That is known as location plus, which is the second line on your screen right here. Hendricks, 12th in all of baseball with a location of 105. Allen on the other side of the bump, 101, also an above average location guy. Both of these guys, that top line, the stuff, is basically a combination of velo, movement, and release. It's trying to show you just the pure quality of the pitch, independent of location. You combine these two together, I think it gives you a pretty good picture of who these guys are as pitchers. They like locating pitches in the proper spot. They're not going to set up middle, and blow everything by you, which would be a guy that has the inverse of this, who has more stuff than a location.
GPS-like accuracy by both guys on the mound today. One down after that nice backhanded play by Swanson at short. Austin Hedges at the plate, 0-1 the count. Hendricks works his motion. That's up high, 1-1. Hedges, 31 years old. Last year, started the season with Pittsburgh, traded to Texas, and ended up getting a ring with the Rangers. And he signed with Cleveland, his second stint with the Guardians this offseason as he swings and misses. Very young team, as we mentioned earlier, so Hedges is being asked to provide a little bit of that veteran leadership, and that's more important to the Guardians than his production at the plate.
He's also a really good game prepper. I remember last year when he was with the Pirates, I believe, I got a chance to chat with him in the visitors clubhouse. And I asked him what he looks at in heat maps against hitters, because I got access to a software that kind of helps me break down hitters as though you are a catcher, and he was giving me some pointers. So I got to chat shop with him a little, which was really fun. So I've always kind of respected him as a mind behind the plate.
The 2-2. Fouled away. Did you guys talk about his Little League career?
I didn't know. I went really nerdy off the top. I try to not take too much guys' time, you know? So I was just like, hey, man, quick. You want to nerd out with me? What do you look at? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Here's what I look at.
I nerded out in my own way when it came to his Little League team. This is hit in the air. Deep left field. Going back, Masterboni. He leaps. It's off the glove. And Hedges rumbles into second base with a double.
I think Masterboni might have thought he had that ball. It looked like he was looking at his glove as he came down. Just a change up from Hendricks, middle of the plate. Obviously missed location. Whew. Let's see this again. Ooh, it looks like that. It's the classic where the glove snaps back over the top of the wall and the ball kind of jiggles a bit loose. Just to see Masterboni a little bit frustrated there. Ball was in his glove. It just, the momentum takes it, and it looks like some trainers coming out now, and Counsell as well.
And they bumped the head on the wall there. Nick Frangella racing out. Manager Craig Counsell talking to Masterboni. Masterboni started feeling for the wall, but then went up to try and make the catch, and at that point, I think the wall snuck up on him.
I think that's wiring there in left field, isn't it, between the yellow and the actual wall itself? So hopefully there's a little bit of give there. Looks like they're kind of patting his head. It might have bumped it. Better than like a brick wall. that would be a lot more concerning. Masterboni's a tough guy. Looks like he's all right. See a little red there on the back of his head. Cut up.
Looks like he's going to be okay. Elise, what do you have?
Well, you know, Masterboni out in left field today, part of it, not just because he is versatile and can play all around the field, but we learned yesterday that Ian Happ, he's dealing with that left hamstring strain. So when I asked Counsell about it, he's just saying that, yeah, I mean, Masterboni can play around the field, so giving him a chance today to play left field while Happ has that injury, because he said then come the regular season, if he needs to play out there, they want to give him the reps now, and so he can kind of work out things like this, and you just hope that he's okay, and it looks like he is.
Thank you. So one down, man at second base. And the batter is Kenzie Noel. He pops it up and gets a base hit into left field as that one drops in. And stopping at third is Hedges. So now the Guardians threatening again. Men at the corners. Just one away, and the second baseman, Angel Martinez, due up.
It's another soft hit ball, too. I don't think Noel hit that hard. He kind of got jammed inside. I think it was a sinker in. This is generally an approach for Hendricks. He's got 3 of the 5 hits he's allowed so far. I will not consider him hard. I'm not sure on the exact exit velocity, but I would imagine that's more soft contact, which, again, if you're Hendricks and you're reflecting on the outing, it's not like you're getting tattooed. The Hedges ball was hit pretty hard, but I don't know. Otherwise, you're getting some kind of dinks and dunks around the field.
Martinez swings and misses. He doubled his first time up, scored a run. Popped up. On the infield, Swanson calling everybody off, fighting the sun, and makes the catch. 2 away.
Great changeup below the zone there. I think he got Martinez committing on that swing a bit earlier than Martinez probably wanted. Way underneath it. That's the exact outcome you want there for Hendricks.
As good as a strikeout, so 2 on, 2 out. Let's see if Hendricks can get out of the jam. The left fielder, Jonathan Rodriguez, will step into the box. Rounded out to third in the second. Fouled away, 0-1. Hendricks now 34 years old and most starts ever for a guy who pitched for the Cubs, and all of them in a Cubs uniform. It's a model of consistency. And there was some doubt prior to last season if he could return to form off the shoulder injury. And he has. Here's the 0-2. This one squirts past Gomes. Throw home, no play. Sliding in safely is Hedges. It's now 3-0 Cleveland.
Just pull miss from Hendricks there. He's probably trying to go more middle of the plate, or maybe more so away. You see Gomes flash the target outside. I wonder if Gomes is a little surprised there that Hendricks pulled the changeup. I can't imagine he does that much in the regular season.
So 3-0 after the wild pitch, and this is the time of year to experiment with that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And that pitch right there, the one that just missed, that's I think what he was trying to do in the prior pitch.
Now the 2-2. Rodriguez hits one to right. Underneath it, Suzuki for out number 3. But the Guardians score again, now 3-0 as we head to the bottom of the third. Hey, Cubs fans, go to MarqueeSportsNetwork.com for the latest Cubs news and in-depth feature stories presented by Jeff Vukovich, your local Nationwide insurance agent. Visit JeffVuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Back at Sloan Park in Mesa, another gorgeous day. New man on the mound for Cleveland. This pitching change is brought to you by Lakeside Bank. Lakeside Bank, it's about time. Hard-throwing right-hander Xavier Curry on the hill for the Guardians. 3-0 Cleveland as we get set for the last of the third. Miles Mastrobuoni at the plate. Drilled deep right center field, way back, and this one is gone. Mastrobuoni puts the Cubs on the board. A solo home run to right center field. It's 3-1 Cleveland here in the third.
Jumps on a first pitch fastball from Xavier Curry there. Curry's a guy who actually had reverse splits last year. Was pretty good versus left-handed hitters. Mastrobuoni banged his head last inning. Trainers and counsel came out. Stays in the lineup, takes the AB, first pitch homer. I think he's okay. He's feeling all right.
Yeah, the indication is everything is on the up and up with Mastrobuoni.
Yeah, I wonder if the scouting report there, if there even is a scouting report in spring training against kind of a guy who's more of a mop-up reliever, is, hey, he throws a lot of fastballs in the low counts, and Mastrobuoni was perhaps a little mad. He might have dropped that ball in left field and pounces on one there.
The designated hitter Joe Hudson fouls the first pitch away from Curry. 0-1 the count. Now in the hole, 0-2. Curry, 41 games last year for the Guardians, went 3-4 with a 4+ ERA. Now the 0-2. Fouled away.
Hudson's a guy who actually had really strong walk rates each of the last 2 seasons in AAA. This is his 6th organization in 6 seasons as well. Last 2 years he was with the Rays and the Braves. 0-2 count. I imagine he's a guy who'll be able to protect pretty nicely.
Line drive to left. It'll drop in for a base hit.
Doesn't even need to protect. Curry goes fastball up there. It's a great piece of hitting top of the zone. Yeah, not too much of a mislocation there. Maybe he wanted that ball maybe a little bit more inside, up away, off in a nice spot for guys like Hudson that can extend their hands. It's a base knock.
So here's the second baseman, Luis Vasquez, shows bunt, pulls it back, and takes a strike.
Vasquez is a really fun story. I remember a couple years ago on the backfields watching him take infield and thinking to myself, who's that? Because I thought he was one of the best defensive infielders I'd seen on the backfields. And talking to some org people about him, you go, okay, yeah, it's probably just a glove, probably just a glove. And then last year, he jumped way up on the slug side. Justin Stone and some of the other smart people in the hitting department on the player development side with the Cubs really put their time into him, gaining bat speed. He went from having no greater than a 350 slug in any of his seasons in the minors to a 450 plus last year. And he's a guy who's kind of forced his way into the prospect conversation now. In the past, it was kind of one of those guys you throw at the back end of a list and go, great glove, not sure if he'll be able to hit. And now you're looking at him, I think, as a guy who's maybe even if he's sub-league average bat, the glove is good enough where there's probably some major league role for him long term.
The 0-2. Outside, 1-2 the count. A 14th round pick in 2017. You mentioned last year between AA and AAA, a 271 batting average, 20 home runs, 80 RBIs, an OPS of 817. This one's lined through into right field for a base hit. Stopping at second base is Hudson. Cubs have something going here in the third.
See the replay there. I think there was a slider down away to Vasquez. Really good piece of hitting. Let's see this again. Yeah, maybe hanging more middle there. You see Hedges kind of drift back up and in towards Vasquez. A little bit of an arm side miss there from Curry in terms of location. Vasquez has impressed me. Every time I see him, I'm thoroughly impressed by who he is as a complete player.
Yeah, hitting better than 360 this spring for the Cubs. So Curry's been in. He's faced 3 batters, given up 3 hits, including a home run to start the frame by Miles Mastrobuoni. 3-1 Cleveland. Cubs with men at first and second. And here's Mike Tauchman. Tauchman caught looking in the first.
That's a first pitch changeup there. I imagine after Mastrobuoni goes 4-seam middle, he takes it bridge to right field. Curry is going, I'm not throwing a first pitch fastball to another lefty this entire inning.
The pitch.
There's the fastball.
Wow.
Slow him down, speed him up. Tail as old as time. Let's see what he does here. 0-2. I imagine something below the zone. I'd guess another changeup low.
Curry deals. Line to second, and they double off Hudson. 2 away.
The third pitch I didn't consider there, the curveball, which is not something he throws a ton to righties. But again, another miss up for Curry. Probably just a little end of the bat there, not hit too hard. Not much you could do there as Hudson on second base.
So that'll bring up Seiya Suzuki. The man at first and 2 down. Hit high in the air, deep center field, going back Freeman near the track, backing up and makes a backhanded catch right near the wall. Cubs get on the board, down 3-1 after 3. Cubs fans enter to win a trip to Las Vegas to watch opening day at the Circa Resort and Casino, including a 4-night stay in a suite, a table at the world's largest sports book, and much more. To enter, visit MarqueeSportsNetwork.com/Circa Las Vegas. We begin the top half of the 4th inning at Sloan Park. 3-1 Guardians and a new man on the mound for the Cubs. One of the big offseason acquisitions, the veteran right-handed reliever Hector Neris.
Yeah, Neris here, 68 innings last year, sub-2 ERA. That's not that bad. 28% strikeout rate. Walk rate jumped up a bit. He did, I think, get a bit lucky on some of his results metrics here. The ERA, the strand rate was up over 90% for him. But regardless of that, the key thing I think the Cubs got him for is the nasty splitter. He throws this pitch a lot, specifically to left-handed hitters. Throws it over 40% of the time. Mixes that in with a 4-seam fastball. Kind of throws a slider too. Mixes in a sink as well, but it's primarily 4-seam split to lefties.
Juan Brito leads off the fourth inning with a base hit to right center field off of Neris.
Splitters as a whole, too, I think are a pitch that are going to start making their way into baseball more often. You see the last 3 seasons, the usage on the pitch. It's not thrown a lot. This year, though, you have a lot of guys coming into the league who I think are throwing it. Yoshinobu Yamamoto with the Dodgers, Shohei Monaga with the Cubs. And then you have a lot of guys in the offseason who are talking about adding the pitch. On the Cubs in particular, Drew Smiley worked on it and Driveline in the offseason. Luke Little's always kind of had a splitter, didn't throw it at the major league level last year. Porter Hodge, who we might potentially see in this game, is another guy who flipped from a changeup to a splitter grip. I would expect that 2.2% or so to kind of jump up this year. It's just a really good pitch at both limiting barrels and generating swing and miss. The best in baseball at doing both of those individual things, especially if you're looking at things from an advanced analytics side. Limiting barrels, generating swing and miss are what you want to do. Those are some of the most predictive things of pitcher skill. Why not take the pitch that is best at doing both those things and throw it more?
Ryan Rocchio at the plate, 2-0 the count. No one out here in the fourth and a man at first base. And Neris, dating back to 2019, leads all major league relievers in outings and number 3 in the big leagues in strikeouts during that time. So he has been a model of consistency.
He has, and durability, and that's probably the one comment I hear the most whenever I bring up the fact that I like splitters and I want to see more of them as well. Everyone's arm is going to pop. I don't necessarily know if that's true. There is some theory around how your fingers aren't taking the brunt of the pressure on the ball. Think about how a splitter works. You're not absorbing the force through your fingertips as you throw. It's split in between your hands. So potentially it exposes some parts of the UCL, but I don't think that is a reason to not throw splitters. I think that's a reason to consider how to properly unload it onto a pitcher's arm such that it doesn't maybe have adverse effects.
Rocchio flies out. So 1 away. It'll bring up Tyler Freeman. And the numbers suggest that the durability is there, and maybe it is because of the pitch selection of Neris. 70 games in each of the last 3 seasons, including that 2022 championship with the Astros. That's another thing about the Cubs. You know, you look at that clubhouse, there's a lot of championship experience to blend with all those young guys the Cubs are bringing out.
I'm pretty fascinated, too, to see how the bullpen shakes out, specifically between a guy like Neris. Merriweather was a pretty big leverage guy. Alzolay as well is another one. Counsell comes from an organization that seemed to churn out pitchers, bullpen guys specifically, that we're looking up at, you know, watching NL Central games and going, where did they get Abner Uribe, who's throwing 99? Where did they get Strzelecki with this crazy slider? And I think that to some extent Counsell isn't making too massive of an adjustment coming here and seeing these arms. Seeing some of these guys, Luke Little, I'm fascinated to see how he's used in leverage situations as a lefty. But I think there are options here. It's going to be fascinating to see how Counsell uses his expertise that he had with the Brewers in now matchups with a slightly different bullpen, but a deep bullpen.
Ground ball hit to deep short. Swanson goes to second for 1. Nice turn by Vasquez. Double play. And that ends the top half of the fourth inning. Middle 4. Cleveland 3. Cubs 1. The only man in the history of the Cubs organization to call a World Series winner on the radio, the legendary Hall of Famer Pat Hughes. And he's going to have a different kind of honor this year at Wrigley Field as we begin the last half of the fourth inning. Saturday, April 6th, the Cubs take on the Dodgers at 3:05 p.m. The first 10,000 early arriving fans will receive a replica sweater inspired by the Hall of Famer Pat Hughes. Visit Cubs.com/tickets. And there's a base hit for Dansby Swanson. Big turn at first, but he'll stay right there. So Swanson leads off the fourth with a base knock.
Yeah, it's the inner third fastball we were talking about last time up. He covers that pitch so well. Curry kind of leaves the one inside. That's kind of the pitch I'm watching for Swanson as the season progresses, or as the spring progresses, excuse me, as to whether he's dialed in. That's a great piece on that ball right there. The question I have, though,
go ahead.
Will Pat Hughes be wearing that giveaway for the game that day? That's the question, right?
Trust me, you don't have to pull his arm to have him wear anything that looks like that.
That's true. It's because it's probably already in his wardrobe without the Cubs logo, right?
There are a bunch of sweaters that look something like that in our radio booth. And they're emergency sweaters in the event that you didn't dress properly to the ballpark, it gets a little bit cold, and you need to put on something that's warm.
He's a professional.
Up the middle, snagged on a high hop by the shortstop Rocchio, and they get the force at second, one down, Bush safe at first. But yeah, so on those days where Pat knows the rest of the guys in the booth are not properly dressed for the cold, there's just a grin that turns into a smile from ear to ear, because he knows he's going to offer the rest of us an opportunity to wear some of those sweaters. And some of them are classic and they look beautiful. There are many that don't, in the dirt and nicely smothered by hedges. And to me, the funny thing about that is that I would rather suffer in the cold than wear some of the sweaters that Pat has.
I see. So there's a ranking.
Yeah, the model that you're going to get on that giveaway day on April 6th is not exactly the ones that are in the closet. If
you're saying it's better. They're giving the fans something
significantly
better. Okay, I see. Smart job of the Cubs marketing department then.
But it is beautiful. I mean, you've got the Cubs logo on it in addition to the fancy colors and wild design.
It's unbelievable. I can't wait to get multiple.
Gomes takes the ball up high. I mean, look at that beauty.
I hope we can wear that as team uniform in the Marquee Studios during the season. Yeah, generally, we wear Marquee braided gear. There's something nice. We gotta look presentable in the office. But I think we should be able to rotate that in.
Smoked. Oh, what a play at third base by Brito. Double play. Unreal web jet at the hot corner by Brito. We head to the fifth.
Dear Winter, we're coming.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Marquee Sports Network is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. By Advocate Healthcare. Let's live well and make the most of every moment, game day and every day. And by the Bob LaCourcio Auto Group. You're going to like buying a car this way. Spring training is always a great opportunity for Cubs fans to get up close and personal with the Cubs' biggest stars. Another glorious afternoon at Sloan Park in Mesa. Guardians up 3-1 as we get set for the beginning of the 5th inning, and a new man is pitching for the Cubs. Adbert Alzolay, back from an illness that sidelined him for the last few days. Alzolay, a revelation as the closer last season for the Cubs. Took to it in great fashion, 22 saves.
He did that on the back of a lot of breaking ball usage, combined on the slider cutter, which sometimes kind of blend together, but often you can see separated based on the velocity. Through those two pitches, about 60%. In prior seasons, he was somewhere more around like 40 to 50, so they really jumped up on that pitch, and it did wonders for him, as you see a little cutter right there. Yeah, there's the slider, particularly that slider individually. If you combine it with the cutter, it goes up a little more, but 45%, you can see it jump up from the 33%. I got to say, though, one of my favorite things he does, ooh, I thought he was going to get the call in the out of third. One of my favorite things he does, he throws sinker opposite handedness. Generally, this pitch is something that is, I'd say, taboo. Guys just don't throw it. It doesn't have good splits unless your pitch has a ton of drop to it. But Alzolay's kind of found this ability to go front hip with the pitch. It's one of my favorite things to see him do. It's just so rare for, I think, a back-end closer to have two fastballs and then to throw both those fastballs versus either-handedness of hitter. I think it kind of makes him a little more dynamic, perhaps, than most fastball slider relievers who just throw those two pitches alone.
Cubs missed Alzolay for most of September when he was out on the injured list with that forearm strain. Will Brennan fists one the other way in the right center field for a bloop hit.
Little 2-2 challenge fastball there.
So that'll bring up Davison De Los Santos, the first baseman. The pitch. Inside. Santos 1 for 2 today with an RBI single in the first. Popped up. Right side of the infield. Fighting the sun, Vasquez underneath it, and he's got it. One away.
I don't think he was particularly happy with that location to the De Los Santos slider, but he was happy with a lot of these moments from last season. Slider away, the energy. I think we're getting a bobblehead this year on that celebration, right? Is it the fist? I think we're calling it the fist, but he was electric to watch last year. There's a little backdoor sink. That's what I was talking about to Arenado. Just tosses his helmet, yells. I wonder if his vocal cords are all right from all the yelling. It's a great question. He torn vocal cords or something? I don't know. He's an energetic guy. I love it.
See, there's another example of where if we had the ability in spring training to tap into that PitchCom device, I'm sure Adbert would take the time to answer us. Batters Austin Hedges, the pitch. Runner goes, and that throw bounces into center field, but staying at second is Will Brennan after the stolen base.
We could get Galaxy Brain with some statistics too. I'd love to see a correlation between how hoarse his voice is on a subsequent day and like his ERA in those outings. Like, is there a relationship there? It's like if he can't talk, like is he coming in that outing? He's like, man, I'm not gonna be able to yell if I punch these guys out. I don't know if I'm feeling it today.
If he keeps punching guys out like that, swing and a miss, and closing games in big-time fashion, trust me, he'll find the vocal cords will somehow find a way to generate excitement. The pitch. That's low. 2-2 the count to Hedges. I started to mention this earlier. Hedges, when he was in Little League, his team in Southern California was coached by his dad. That team ended up producing 7 future major leaguers, including Austin Hedges. And these are some of the biggest names in the game. Round ball hit to third. Nice play by Madrigal. The throw across in time. 2 away.
It's a nice play from Madrigal there. You see him kind of glancing over at first. Probably trying to judge if he got a ground ball, whether he was going to turn it.
Nice range going to his left. Yeah, so Hedges was coached by his dad on that Little League team in Southern California. They ended up producing 7 future major leaguers, including Hedges. The others, Matt Chapman, just signed that deal with the Giants. David Fletcher, former Cub Zach Davies, Joe Musgrove, Michael Lorenzen, and a guy named Bryce Harper.
Wow, that's kind of incredible.
I didn't take a look at the stats. I'm guessing they won every game they played. How do you lose?
That's a great question. Did Hedges' dad ever end up coaching? Because at some point you got to look back through the tree and go, oh, he coached those guys. Like, what influence did he have on those guys that we can now capture as an organization? That's what I'd be thinking if I was the front office. Great pitch.
John Kenzie Noel swinging and missing.
Little slider down there. Trying to go away. A little arm side miss, but again, the pitch is hard enough with enough movement that I think even when he kind of misses and it leaks into the zone, specifically versus righties, it's still a really, really effective offering.
Noel banked 27 home runs in AAA last year. He fouls this one away. 22 years old, 6'3", 250, native of the Dominican Republic. And his nickname is La Belleza, which means the beauty in Spanish. Strike 3. Alzolay gets to celebrate a little bit as he hops off the mound. Guardians up 3-1. Robinson night. Fans who purchase through the special ticket offers page will receive a limited edition number 42 cap with proceeds benefiting the Support Group, a local organization inspiring undeserved youth in Chicago. Visit Cubs.com/specials. Nick Madrigal leads off the last half of the 5th inning. Cubs down by 2 in Mesa to Cleveland. Madrigal flied out to right, his first at bat. Now jacks one down the left field line, and this one is hooking foul.
Oh, we almost got a Madrigal home run there. He does not have a lot of those in his career. Obviously, one of the highest contact rates in all of baseball last season. And pretty much every season he's been in the major leagues. Such a good ability to put bat to ball. How close were we? Ooh, okay, that's not bad. Hanging curve from Curry. Oh, he maybe thought he had it.
He hit 2 bombs last year in 92 games. Now the 0-2. Low. Here comes the 1-2 delivery. Ground ball hit on the left side, backhanded by the shortstop, and the throw to first in time. What a play by Rocchio.
That's a great play by Rocchio.
So last June at Wrigley Field, Nick Madrigal flashed the power, going deep.
Not even into the basket either. He cleared the basket. That's, I think, the important part here. You can't get the cheap home runs into the basket. Some pop from Nicky.
Here's Miles Mastrobuoni.
I think that was a first pitch changeup there from Curry. Last AB, Mastrobuoni took him deep. First pitch fastball. Unsurprising to see him go off speed there. Another changeup there, back to back.
So 1-1 the count to Mastrobuoni. Up high.
Just does not want to throw him the fastball. This becomes the question, though. You throw 2 changeups, then you throw a big loopy curve that kind of negates your prior 2 changeups as setup pitches, in my opinion, at least from a sequencing perspective. Let's see what he does here.
On a line to deep left center field. This will drop in and hop off the wall. A double for Miles Mastrobuoni. His second hit, his second extra base hit today.
Third changeup he has seen in that AB. Takes it the other way. Let's check out that homer. This home run replay is brought to you by Toyota, official vehicle of the Chicago Cubs. An 0-0 fastball from Curry. Center cut. Mastrobuoni takes it out to right. And we just saw him take a double oppo after Curry refused to throw that exact same fastball in that AB. Obviously remembering what Mastrobuoni did on that 0-0 fastball in the prior inning. Great piece by Mastrobuoni there, going oppo on the changeup.
So that brings up the designated hitter, Joe Hudson. Singled his first time up. The pitch. Fouled away. Yeah, Mastrobuoni played 61 games last season with the Cubs. Hit .241, but he struggled mightily at the plate early on. Late in the year, he came on in big-time fashion, hit .324 over his final 31 games.
Yeah, the main thing that stuck out to me about that stretch late, sometimes it's like, okay, the batted ball quality jumps or he's getting more pitches in the zone. Mastrobuoni just got more aggressive. His swing rate jumped almost about 10 percentage points. He just started swinging more, and it allowed him to cover more pitches. He was kind of being attacked, and I almost wonder whether he was slightly passive, such that it was a detriment to who he was as an offensive player. He was always a really defensive, versatile defender. They had him in the lineup for those reasons, and then late you get some thump out of him. 300-plus average is fantastic. I love that he was more aggressive late. Now it becomes the chess match of, okay, if you're more aggressive, now we're going to throw you more breaking stuff. Let's see how you do versus the breaking stuff. That's probably the challenge for him this season.
Hudson takes called strike 3 on the outside corner. Not happy about it. 2 away. Yeah, Mastrobuoni is a guy who I think needed some time to figure out his role last season. Remember, he was the opening day right fielder for the Cubs. And I think a lot came at him quickly, but once he was able to slow it down, got sent up and down a little bit. But when he came back, that final stretch was impressive. Luis Vasquez singled his first time up. 1-1. Now the pitch. Tap foul. Kyle Hendricks started for the Cubs. He went 3 innings, charged with 3 runs on 5 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. A lot of soft contact for the most part.
The classic Kyle Hendricks game, the low strikeout totals, some balls chopped through the infield, jam shot it into the outfield. I'll be curious to see what he has to say about the outing.
Fly ball hit to right, down the line, angling toward it. Brennan in foul territory. He makes the catch for out number 3. We head to inning number 6. Cleveland a 3-1 lead.
Top 6 here with Dansby Swanson. Dansby, what is the spring like for you, the process, the routine that you have going?
Yeah, I mean, for me, you kind of learn as you get a little bit older. I usually say the first couple of weeks are really about getting your legs back underneath you. You're back in cleats. You're trying to just kind of feel your way through everything. And then the second 2 weeks is like where you start to feel like you're kind of building some timing. And then the last 2 weeks is more or less like go time. You kind of get out of the thought process of like, what am I trying to do at the plate? And you really try and go compete and perform. So, yeah, I mean, I just kind of break it down into 2-week segments, and it's been pretty good so far.
That's why you're the veteran that you are. I know that you also take the time to talk to younger players. It's something that stands out to me a lot. Why is that important to you to really get your time with them?
I love to teach. I really do. I love to teach things that I've learned that work for me. I've seen different kinds of things work for other guys. I was very fortunate to play with some really, really good players and be able to watch how they go about their business and just being observant of how they do things and just trying to implement whatever wisdom may work for them, right? Because not everyone processes things the same, and whatever's going to help them be a better player is going to help us, and that's just kind of how I view it.
And I know for you, part of what's behind that is you want this team to be the best it can be. What did you take away from last year and how that can help this team moving forward?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of it is there's just a lot of internal growth, right? I feel like last year we definitely took a step in the right direction. I feel like team identity took a little while to form. Just new relationships. We had a bunch of moving pieces and parts last year, and then you come into this year with a lot more familiarity with one another and a little bit more trust with one another. And I think that's kind of the thing that has stood out the most. We have a lot of similar guys to last year, but a lot of young talent. I say it's not the flashiest thing to talk about, but there are a lot of really, really good players here, and a lot of players that want to get better, want to learn, and want to grow, and are really buying into like, hey, everything we do for the Cubs, right? Like we're trying to build this identity and culture of winning from top down. So it's been a fun process so far.
You describe it like I get excited for this season. What are you most looking forward to show people about this team?
I think that is really a great question. I feel like for us, it's just what we know and believe here to have that translate onto the field. And that's about as simple as it gets, because we know how special of a place Chicago is when we're winning. We experienced that a lot last year, and I think that this year, just to be able to prolong that to a 6-7 month stretch is obviously one of the goals.
We want playoffs in Chicago, right?
Yeah, no, that's you can say it. I'm not going to say.
All right, fair. I'll do it right now.
Know and believe what we want. So
I didn't jinx it. Geez, Dansby. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great stuff, Elise. Dansby Swanson's been a winner everywhere he's been. Won a College World Series with Vanderbilt in 2014. Won a championship with the Atlanta Braves, and experienced a little bit of everything last season in his first year with the Cubs. The rough start for the team. They found themselves 10 games under 500. Ground ball hit to short, scooped up by Jefferson Rojas. The throw to first in time. 2 away. Daniel Palencia is the new pitcher, taking over for Adbert Alzolay, 24-year-old right-hander. He was impressive in his debut season last year with the Cubs. 27 relief appearances, a 5-3 record. Struck out 33 batters in 28 1/3 innings. Juan Brito swings and misses. I thought it was interesting when earlier this offseason Swanson said that he fought as hard as he's fought in a long time last season, and kinds of sees it as a personal success in a certain way that he was able to overcome that. Swanson hit .244 last year with 22 home runs and 80 RBIs in 147 games. All-Star, Gold Glove. You know, his wife Mallory, it's been well documented, the U.S. national soccer star, had that knee injury as Brito fouls one away again. And Swanson spent time on the injured list with that bruised heel. But the Cubs fought back from 10 games under to go 12 games over and make a run of it in September before falling down the stretch.
I think it's always great when you hear a guy who loves teaching as well, especially for a team that's young. And I think we'll rely on young players over the next couple seasons pretty heavily.
There are a whole bunch of players like that in the Cubs clubhouse. Swanson's one, Cody Bellinger's another, Kyle Hendricks, Yan Gomes. Guys that are not threatened by their position. They've accomplished enough on their own. Here's the 2-2. Hit in the air, shallow left, coming in Mastroboni, going back Rojas, and it's the shortstop Rojas who makes the catch for out number 3. Chicago Cubs baseball on Marquee Sports Network is brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. Find the dealer nearest you at buyhyundai.com. by Wintrust, proud legacy partner of the Chicago Cubs and exclusive home of Cubs checking. And by Prevagen. Prevagen is the #1 pharmacist recommended memory support brand.
We now have Seiya Suzuki with us here as we start the bottom of the 6th. I have to start. Seiya, the last time we were here, do you remember what happened?
前回のインタビュー、ここで、起きたことを覚えてますか？危なかったですね。It's dangerous.
It's dangerous, right? The foul ball that came in front of us, we almost died. Anyways, though, it's not going to happen this time. I want to know, what can he do this year to continue the way he finished last season? How can he continue that?
去年いい形で、シーズンを終えて、あの状態を今年に、つなげるようのために何が必要だと思いますか？
いろいろまだ課題はあると思いますけど、このキャンプでしっかり準備して、しっかりやれればいいと思います。
I still have a lot of reflections and things to work on, but if I'm well prepared, then I feel like I can do the same things that I did last year.
Kevin Alcantara just said, and we know that Seiya can do that. He described Dustin Kelly as like a father to him. What's the relationship like?
DK がパパのような存在って、先日おっしゃってて、DK はどのような存在でしょうか？
温かく見守ってくれるパワーみたいな人です。
It's always warm and welcoming, as I said, like a dad.
Looking forward to this season?
今シーズン一番楽しみにしていることは何でしょうか？
わからん。ワールドシーズンに行けることを楽しみにしています。
I think it's going to the World Series.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. Someone who's going to try to help you do that. Shota Imanaga, I know you were really happy when he came here. What was it like to see him in his first spring training start?
今永さんが同じチームに入団されたことで多分すごくハッピーだとコメントをいただきましたけど、実際昨日、初登板されてどのような印象を受けましたか？
1本ホームランを打たれましたけど、まだ最初ですし、どんどん調整してくれると思うので、やっぱこのメジャーで1試合目投げるっていう、1試合出るっていうのはすごく特別な試合だったと思うんで、良かったんじゃないかなと思います。
Obviously he did give up a home run yesterday, but he has the the skill set to make those necessary adjustments to make a better, even better performance next time. And I feel like that first outing in the big leagues is always a special moment for him. So I hope he cherishes.
Are you kidding me? Kidding. Jinx stamps.
But I hope he just cherishes that moment yesterday.
Finally, you brought it up. You want to go to the World Series with this team. I know we're scared now. So I have to ask, what is the feeling about this team that he believes they can do that?
今年のチームに関してはどのような、印象がありますか？
どうなんですかね、分かんないですけど、一人一人がしっかり仕事をすれば、いいチームができると思うんで、僕もしっかり頑張りたいなと思います。
I feel like everyone has a role in what we can do this year, and if everyone can do what they're supposed to do, I feel like we can accomplish big things. So I'm very excited.
And I'm sure Cubs fans are excited to hear that. All right, you guys better get out of here before we get hit.
We gotta get out, yeah.
We don't want you to die. You can go. Thank you so much. Zach Lance, back up to you.
Elise, thank you. Please protect that man at all costs. That's 2 years in a row.
He's got to do it in a batting helmet at least next time. Come on. Put the helmet on him. Yeah, Toy and you throw it on too. Just everyone. You got to be safe.
Grounded foul. 0-2 the count. How about Kevin Alcantara going deep? He's the guy acquired in the trade with the Yankees in 2021 for Anthony Rizzo. They call him the Jaguar, and you got an opportunity to see why. He holds his fist like a Jaguar's clenched claw on home run trots. Alcantara likes to say a Jaguar waits for the perfect moment to attack. I can hit a home run when you least expect it, including during an interview with Seiya Suzuki.
Absolutely. That was a 2-0 pitch from Heron. Center cut. Let's take another peek at the replay. No, we won't, because there's 3 outside. I'm learning. I'm learning.
You know your numbers. 3-2 Jaguars. Or Cleveland. Sunday, April 21st, the Cubs will offer the first installment of a special Heritage Cap Series. Fans who purchase through the special ticket offers page will receive a limited edition Cubs cap featuring the flag of Mexico. Visit Cubs.com/specials. Top of the 7th at Sloan Park. Cleveland with a 3-2 lead over the Cubs. This pitching change is brought to you by Lakeside Bank. Lakeside Bank, it's about time. The new man on the mound is Edwin Escobar. He's had an interesting backstory.
Yeah. Last 7 seasons in Japan here. I could see he pitched for the Yokohama Bay Stars, which is actually Shota Managa's team. And I think he still has the Bay Stars glove. He's got the gold trim on the blue glove. I feel like they gotta get him a new glove and maybe replace it with some red trim to match the Cubs. But it's kind of a lefty addition. Not a ton of lefties, obviously, in the Cubs bullpen, so he's in contention to fill one of those spots. Luke Little, and then a lot of guys with splitters, which can help neutralize left-handed hitters. But Escobar, I think, presents a pretty funky look, hides the ball well. Veteran of sorts. A lot of guys have remade themselves over in Japan, and I think Escobar is kind of one of them.
Escobar, 31 years old, and you mentioned 7 years in Japan where he had an ERA of 3.17. Prior to that, a cup of coffee in the big leagues with Boston and Arizona. We've seen a lot of pitchers go overseas and then come back, like you mentioned, with the ability to be good right away because of that experience.
Yeah, Merrill Kelly jumps to mind. Eric Fetty is going to be on the south side this year with the White Sox, jumps to mind. We'll see how he does after pitching incredibly well last season in the MPB.
Petey Halpin at the plate, 0-2 the count.
Halpin is yet another soft-hitting, low strikeout, speedy player on the Guardians. They just churn him out.
With them, and it's a new era in Cleveland with Terry Francona stepping down as the manager after 11 years. Had only 2 losing seasons with the Guardians. And Stephen Vogt, the new man, leading Cleveland. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Nice pitch by Escobar. Halpin is retired. Vogt spent 10 years playing in the major leagues as a catcher with a whole variety of different teams, and then last season spent time as the Mariners bullpen and quality control coach before being hired to take over as the 45th skipper in Cleveland history.
I like that last nugget there. Quickest turnaround from player to manager since '87, Larry Boa. Not surprising both those players were catchers. That always comes up, I feel, as a topic. Guys behind the plate having a really good feel for managing.
Chase DeLauder at the plate, 22 years old. This guy was a first-round pick back in 2022, 16th overall. Then had a foot injury that cost him a lot of time. Missed his first professional season and then didn't get healthy until June of last year. So in the brief time that he played, 57 games in the minor leagues, he hit .355.
Strike. Drops the bat there. Also, correction on me, Larry Bowden, not a catcher. I need to brush up on the baseball history.
Yeah, I was thinking, well,
you
maybe
could correct
there was
me there.
a game.
Call me out, Zach.
Maybe there was a game in which he caught, so technically you might be right. Bouncing ball hit on the left side. And just in time for the out. An excellent play by Matt Shaw. We head to the last of the 7th in Mesa. Cubs down 1. Is brought to you by UI Health, changing medicine for good. By Toyota, official vehicle of the Chicago Cubs. And by Northwestern Medicine. When it comes to your health, a second opinion is always a good idea. Get yours at Northwestern Medicine.
Bottom 7, 3-2. We take to our
Time now for our Prevagen memorable moment. Take you back on this day in 2023 when the Cubs beat the Padres 4-0 at Peoria Stadium. 7 pitchers combined for a no-hitter. It was the first no-hitter in a spring training game since 2017. Justin Steele pitched 2 perfect innings, needing just 18 pitches to get 6 outs, and then the other 6 arms finished the job for the Cubs. Javier Assad, Brad Boxberger, Adbert Alzolay, Jeremiah Estrada, Cam Sanders, and Nick Birdie closing things out. Big performance for the Cubs in spring training last year. A no-hitter's a no-hitter,
exactly.
No matter when they
happen. Doesn't matter when it happens.
Matt Shaw at the plate here in the last of the 7th. The 0-2 delivery. Foul.
Shaw's been crushing it this spring. I think this is maybe one of the guys that Cubs fans will open their eyes to on the prospect side. He's a recent draftee, University of Maryland last year. Cubs have absolutely nailed some of their most recent draft picks over the last couple seasons, purely from what you'd say almost like a stock standpoint. It's like a year after he was drafted, where is his trajectory looking? And Shaw's is definitely looking up.
Popped up, shallow right center. Is this going to drop in? No, it doesn't. The catch made. A new man on the mound for Cleveland. It's left-hander Anthony Ghost. This guy, what a story. He's 33 years old, made his major league debut with Toronto in 2012 as an outfielder. Remember, he was a speedster, played center field. He was traded to Detroit before the 2015 season as an outfielder. Eventually, the Tigers designated him for assignment in 2017. And when he cleared waivers, they converted him to a pitcher. And that's where he's been ever since. And he can hit 100 miles per hour on the gun.
It's very impressive. I wonder almost whether one of the things they were looking at him is that he's only 6 feet, so he's a little bit short for most pitchers, but he also gets down in his back leg really well. You see right out of the stretch there. It looks like he's working stretch only. That back leg dips, and he gets even lower than that 6-foot height. It really allows him to kind of create a weird angle on his fastball. You're seeing a lot of guys. The most notable one that jumps to mind for me is Spencer Strider from the right side, who gets really low on that back leg, allows him to create almost an artificially low release, and anything with carry from that release often plays up. That's kind of what has become of the modern game in terms of those elevated fastballs, having a low one with velo and hop. And Ghost has that, so kudos to the Guardians for converting him, playing around with this idea, because, I mean, they've really simplified how he moves, I think, as a pitcher. Stretch only, don't make it too complex. Give me fastballs up. It's got a shallow approach angle. It'll work. It's a crazy transition. It makes me think of Brandon Hughes a bit. He used to be in the Cubs organization, and I remember that was a big story about his transition from outfielder to reliever. Also a lefty, so I guess you got to be a lefty, right?
Yeah, Hughes was an outfielder at Michigan State. But I mean, to be a major league outfielder
very different,
and then convert to a major league pitcher, I don't see that often. Jorge Alfaro hits one on the ground, and it is off the glove of the first baseman, De Los Santos. And Alfaro is safe at first.
Alfaro bunning up the hair today. I generally like it when it's flowing, but I'll take it as is. A little piece the other way from Ghost. Off the first baseman's glove.
Yeah, so Alfaro credited with a hit, and that'll bring up David Bodie. Cubs down 1. They've gone deep twice this afternoon. As Bodie looks at a ball outside, Miles Mastrobuoni jacking one out. And then Kevin Alcantara going deep to straightaway center field. Now the 1-0. Inside. Bodie waits for the 2-0. Cracked in the air.
Boy.
Deep left field. Down the line. This could go. It's gone. And the Cubs take the lead. 4-3 over the Guardians here in the 7th as Bodie flexes his muscles.
Ghost going back-to-back inside there, I think, in terms of his sequencing. Bodie smashed that. Let's take another look. Yeah, just kind of misses a little close side there for Ghost, pulls it inside. Bodie's really good versus left-handed pitching. David Bodie putting him up.
Third home run of the spring for Bodie. And the Cubs now up 4-3 over the Guardians in the bottom of the 7th inning. Bodie, the only Cub with multiple home runs in Cactus League action this year.
Last season at AAA, slugged .594 versus left-handed pitching. That kind of showed up right there in that homer.
It's a happy camper in that Cubs dugout. As Joe Hudson looks at another ball, it's now 3-0. Now the pitch. In there for a strike. Hudson, 32 years old. Played his college ball at Notre Dame. His last big league season, 2020 with Seattle. As he takes another strike. Also saw action for the Angels in 2018 and the Cardinals in 2019. He's been able to crack through though to that major league level on a consistent basis. The payoff pitch. Ball 4.
Not too tough of an AB there for Hudson. Again, posting 15% plus walk rates each of the last 2 seasons at AAA. Just, he's not going to get cheated in terms of how he's approached. You know, he's not chasing outside of the zone. Chase rate's never been above average. Swings and misses a reasonable amount, but I think when you combine that with the ability to get on base, it becomes a tolerable amount.
Now Matt Mervis will stand in for the first time today. The pitch. Outside, 1-0 the count. Mervis takes a strike. 27 games with the Cubs last year for Mervis. Hit 167, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. Coming off that incredible 2022 season when he was the Cubs minor league player of the year. He hit better than 300, 36 home runs, 119 RBIs at 3 different levels. And then after he was sent back down to Iowa, the power numbers showed up again. Fly ball hit to shallow left. Drifting back is the shortstop, and the catch is made.
Yeah, let's take a look at the home run from Mervis yesterday as well. He's a guy who's kind of been hot to some extent in spring, putting some good pieces on balls. That's a sweepy pitch away there, kind of takes it to left center. To me, he encapsulates what's happened between the talent gap of AAA pitching relative to Major League pitching. I think it's grown over the last couple seasons such that you have guys who are really successful jump up and then struggle. Then oftentimes if they're not getting regular playing time, as was the case with Michael Busch, and he's mentioned this as well, Mervis as well, it's sometimes tough to acclimate to the much better pitching you're seeing. We're getting to the point where the minor league data is able to show us when a pitcher is good enough from a stuff perspective to be a major leaguer, such that we're not really lingering in the minor leagues much more.
The Jaguar, Kevin Alcantara, fouls one away, 1-1 the count. Alcantara, 6'6", 188 pounds.
I'm always impressed when tall athletes like him, he's listed at 6'6", can run as fast as he can. Gazelle-like, Jaguar-like, if you will. Though Jaguars I don't think are particularly tall, but I still like the nickname. But he's a guy that, over the last couple seasons, they've played around, I think, with his leg kick, especially in two-strike counts. He's not in a two-strike count right now, but you watch any of his old footage when he was back in the Dominican Summer League of the Yankees prior to coming to the Cubs organization, and his leg kick is up at his belt, sometimes going to his chest. You know, he would be so emphatic with it that I think to some extent as he started facing better pitching, they started to attack that, right? They started to kind of throw off his timing and the fact that he'd load and he'd already be drifting forward and he would not have a great ability to adjust. You watch him now, slight open stance. The leg kick's a little tighter, the knee only comes up to kind of the thigh. And I think that's a big difference for him. And he's still able to kind of toggle differently, right? He'll go towards the bigger leg kick. That's a little drift right there. You see him kind of hesitate with it on the 2-0 pitch. From Heron, he's able to take out to center field. And he's got the Jaguar paw, claw, whatever you want to call it up. I love it.
A clenched fist like a Jaguar. Right, here's the payoff pitch. Alcantara swings and misses at a pitch in the dirt, strike 3. Inning over, but not before the Cubs take the lead. 4-3 over the Guardians.
Hi, I'm Greg. I live in Bloomington, Illinois. I'm not an actor.
Welcome back to Mesa. Kyle Hendricks started today's ball game, went the first 3 innings, and moments ago talked to the media about his outing.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. Just the environment, being back out there with the fans, you feel the energy even here out in Arizona. You know, our fans travel so well, so it just feels more like a real game, being back out there, normal spring. Yeah, it's great getting some normal reps under my belt for sure.
I mean, you've been part of so many springs at this point. Like, how have you kind of adjusted what you want to get out of these, especially early camp starts?
For sure, yeah. Every year is different. You know, you're always making adjustments, making changes. I feel like mechanically and body-wise, everything feels great. So I'm just trying to make that more consistent, second nature, where I don't have to think about my cues. And outside of that, it's just mentally attacking it like a real game right now. You know, it's been great having Jan back there. Really good feedback and specific things we're working on. Today felt pretty good, to be honest with you, and changeup was really good. So that was a huge positive. It wasn't great in my last one. So that was good to be there. Only threw 1 or 2 curveballs today. My sinker felt good. It was really the 4-seam. 4-seam today down away to lefty just wasn't quite getting there. So one thing to work on going forward, but if it's only one thing to work on, that's not terrible for right now.
Anything else besides that you want to fine-tune?
Just make everything, like I said, more consistent and second nature. It was good working with some guys on base there, guys on first, guys on second, a couple pickoff moves, just getting all the situations in there. That feels good, so then when you get in season, nothing's too foreign. But no, really establishing my heater, getting that to the bottom of the zone, that was such a big key for me last year, so really going to have that as the focus going forward. Unbelievable, man. I told him just that effort alone, but in the glove, robbed it, and yeah, he said it head on the fence. I mean, not what you're looking for out there. So I told him, take it easy, man. Spring, I appreciate the effort, but I'll take it in season. He's my guy. I know. I don't know how. It's woke him up. I don't know. He had a huge gash on his head, man. Jeez. I just told him he plays all out all the time, man. He's the best. He's my guy. So you can't thank him enough for the effort. And he's having a heck of a spring already, man. He's fun to watch. Yeah. There's not a lot of blood. No, thank God. But it was a little gnarly, man. Yeah, not what you're looking for in spring, for sure.
Kyle Hendricks talking about Miles Mastrobuoni banged his head against the wall in left field trying to make a leaping catch and rob a home run. He stayed in the game. He was okay, and later on went yard. And Hendricks pitched the first 3 innings of today's ball game. Fly ball hit to center field. And Bateman makes the catch for the out. 1 on, 1 away. New man on the mound for the Cubs is the tall right-hander Porter Hodge, 23 years old, 6'4", 230 pounds. Lance, what should we know about this guy?
Yeah, fastball, slider, and he played around late last season with a splitter, kind of altering his changeup grip, creating some more depth. I got a chance to talk to him about that at CubsCon. Really played up as a nice pitch. That's a sweeper right there. The thing that I think aesthetically is most obvious to notice is when he throws a fastball, it has a little bit of natural cut to it, so it almost looks like he's throwing like a tight slider or cutter, but it's usually in the mid-90s, like 93 to 95 or so. That's the sweeper right there in a third. But the sweeper's nasty. I think they've kind of probably transitioned him to be more of a pure reliever. I think there was a period of time over the last 2 seasons or so where there was a chance he maybe stayed a starter, but if you saw the kid walk on our graphic we threw up, 100 strikeouts over 8 innings, but also about 49, 50 walks. So the control in reining that in, I think, has always been a slight problem. But as a reliever, again, the tolerance for non-competitive pitches and pitches that maybe aren't totally around the plate increases, right? We're okay with guys that are walking, say, 8 or 10% of hitters they're facing out of the pen, as long as you're striking out as many guys as he is able to strike out.
Swing and a miss by Noel.
And that's the four seam right there that has a little bit of that cut to it. Again, it looks like he's throwing a true cutter. I just know he calls it his four seam. You see it. It almost moves a little right to left, whereas most fastballs you're expecting him to kind of move left to right. It's just kind of a natural byproduct of how he throws and how his arm naturally unwinds in the delivery.
So 2 down here in the top half of the 8th inning. And that'll bring up Reynel Delgado. Hodge, 35 games for Double-A Tennessee last year, 12 of them starts. Swing and a miss, 6-7 record, a 5+ ERA. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to figure out what a guy's role should be to maximize performance. Outside.
I think one of the main things too is you don't want to make a guy a reliever too early, right? If you're in A ball and you're like, this guy's a reliever now, I think you kind of almost cap the upside that a guy could have. But I think you want to try to see it through with a lot of guys like him who have loud stuff as starters for as long as possible.
Hard hit ground ball through in a right center field. So now the Guardians have men at first and second with 2 away here in the 8th. Bring up Lorenzo Cedrola. Cubs taking the lead in the last of the 7th on a 2-run laser to left by David Bodie. His 3rd home run of the spring. Mastrobuoni and Alcantara also going deep. The pitch. In there for a strike.
Aesthetically, I love his slider. He might have one of my favorite sliders in the minors for the Cubs. Looks a little curvy, kind of looks like it's turning into a 4-seam running into the righty, and then it kind of just just to the left, as you see it right there. Just kind of hovers and then breaks really late. This is kind of the natural sweeper grip that they have taught a lot of guys in the organization. Allows the ball to have a bit more lift and pick up more glove side movement through the orientation of the seams and how those seams interact with the air around the ball as it moves to the plate.
So initially, when that pitch is released, what are you thinking if you're the hitter?
I think you're thinking that it's probably more out of the zone perhaps than it ends up, because you generally cue curveball for these guys out of hand. You think curveball and then you let the seams create more lift and sweep. So out of hand, you might almost think it's perhaps slightly a ball, or you see it popping like a curve, and then it kind of takes off laterally away from you. And again, laterally away is generally how you generate the most swing and miss. It's primarily why righties throw sliders right on right. It's why guys who are righties to lefties generally throw changeups. You want things moving away from a hitter.
Now the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And that ends the top half of the 8th. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Cubs up by 1. Cubs fans, sign up now for the Marquee Sports Network app and receive free spring training baseball by using the promo code SPRINGTRAINING24 at WatchMarquee.com. Sign up now for free Cubs baseball. Entertaining Cubs baseball here today in Mesa. They've got a 4-3 lead over the Cleveland Guardians as we get set for the last half of the 8th inning. New pitcher for Cleveland, right-hander Adam Aller delivers. And that pitch is whacked foul by Jefferson Rojas.
For people who like prospects, spring training past the 7th inning is generally when you start to get looks at guys. For perhaps the first time, if you're maybe a casual Cubs fan, Rojas is a guy who entering last season, I honestly didn't even really know that much about, but I had a conversation on the backfields with director of hitting Justin Stone, who's done an incredible job with this organization turning it around on the hitting side. And Rojas was the name that came up. Just off the cuff. I always like, I get my annual Stoney, I call it, where I talk to him for about 10 minutes on the backfields. I haven't got it this year, but I'm excited for it. And he, out of nowhere, just said, Rojas has got to watch. It's really good work ethic. It's combined with some hit. Power combo is really nice. At the age, they thought they could project more in his body. Grounds out right there. But I do think, I like how much playing time they're giving him, how much exposure they're giving him against much better pitching than he has faced all last year, and he's holding up really nicely.
Brett Bateman lines one into center field for a base hit. Jefferson Rojas, 18 years old.
That's crazy.
The day he was born, this was the Cubs starting lineup.
Man, this is the epitome of remember some guys. I love it. Michael Barrett, Todd Hollingsworth. This was my prime format, the baseball years that formed me into the fan eventually and now analyst that I've become. I remember all these guys. It's hilarious. Mark Pryor, Harrison Jr. making me smile thinking about it.
Pretty good era of Cubs baseball, highly competitive. Bradley Beasley at the plate. He looks at a ball up high. But you looked at that era with a little bit of disappointment because of all of the either heartbreaking playoff exits or early exits in the postseason. 2016 against this Cleveland team changed a whole lot. Pickoff play at first after the snap throw. Bateman slides in safely.
Bateman was an 8th rounder last year out of the University of Minnesota. We saw him punch a ball through the middle right there. Hopping around at first base, love to see it. And up right now is Bradley Beasley, who's a byproduct of the shortened draft from 2020. He's an undrafted free agent out of Cal Poly. He fits in with the Guardians organization. Although he is a Cub, he's kind of a bit of a slap-hitting, contact first, really good defender, fleet of foot. I imagine the Guardians are looking at him and going, oh, that looks like the majority of our outfielders. We like him.
And we haven't talked a lot about this today, but the Guardians made a push this offseason to take a chance on a number of different power hitters to try and see what they've got, maybe add them to the mix. Bateman slides in safely.
Picked up Estevan Florial from the Yankees. He's one. It's got a lot of swing and miss. They definitely, I think, are starting perhaps to deviate from the strategy, although they traded Nolan Jones, right? And that's one that I struggle with a bit in terms of how good he looks for the Rockies.
Outside, 3-1. Yeah, the guy they got back, the third baseman today, Juan Brito for Cleveland. They drafted a guy in the Rule 5 draft from Arizona, the first baseman today, Davison De Los Santos. Line drive, base hit. On his way to third, Bateman, and now the Cubs have men at the corners. Ball bobbled, but Bateman's going to stay at third base after the base hit by Beasley.
See this pitch again. Beasley pitch away, takes it middle. It's a good piece of hitting from him. Again, we're talking contact here over pure raw exit velocity. But the kind of player he is, he's a guy that I think is just high probability. He's always going to have a high average and run through the system.
So that'll bring up Matt Shaw with one swing of the bat. He can pad on to this Cubs lead.
This is a fun AB here.
Looks at a strike.
Starts on first pitch curve. This is a guy that I think Cubs fans are going to be hearing a lot of this season and in subsequent seasons. Again, we mentioned 2023 draft pick, first round out of Maryland. Just mashed his way through the minor leagues incredibly quick.
Fly ball hit to right. Catch made. There's the tag. Bateman comes in and scores. RBI, Matt Shaw, and Beasley takes second as the catcher, Lavastida, could not hang on to that ball.
I think Shaw take that. Up away pitch, fastball hard, takes it the other way. Again, his raw bat speed is so good that he's able to push that ball deep into right field. This is, I think, one of the reasons why you prize exit velocity. A lot of people, like, I just want a guy to put the ball the other way, doesn't really care what the exit velocity is. That ball only becomes a sac fly because he can swing hard. He can swing hard such that the ball gets deep enough. You saw a guy like Shohei Ohtani the other day.
Oh, what a play at shortstop. The diving catch made by Milan Tolentino to end the frame, but the Cubs add another run. They're up by 2 after 8. Cubs over the Guardians as we get set for the top half of the 9th inning. Welcome to the Budweiser broadcast booth. This Bud's for you. And Lance, the Cubs playing Powerball in Mesa today.
They are. We saw Mastrobuoni run into the wall with some power, scuffed up his head. Comes up next inning, 0-0 homer, first pitch fastball out. And then we see a young guy in Kevin Alcantara. Same situation, right? 2-0 pitch, able to take it, middle of the field. Just, it's fun to see the pop in a variety of places, like a utility guy like a Mastrobuoni and a young up-and-coming star like Kevin. And
then David Bodie with the go-ahead home run. Cubs have a 2-run lead as we begin the top half of the 9th inning. Left-hander Brad Wick, the new man on the mound. And Christian Cairo fouls one away. Been a long road back for Wick from a number of different ailments.
Looks like Alfaro might be shaken up here on the foul ball.
And trainer Neil Ramp, manager Craig Counsell, taking a closer look at the veteran catcher.
Day in the life of a catcher, right?
Nothing easy about playing that position. Looks like Alfaro's okay and will stay in the game. Guess they got a piece of his hand. Yeah, Wick, 32 years old. Last pitched in the big leagues in 2021. Breaking ball up high. And he was very effective in his first 30 games with the Cubs, but he needed surgery to fix an irregular heartbeat. Shallow pop fly into left. Coming in is the left fielder. I believe that was
Bradley Beasley.
Beasley who made the catch, yeah.
And Wick is huge, 6'8". He's got some funk. I mean, when he was up in the majors in those 3 seasons we were looking at, he was throwing like 70% plus fastball, and he was getting those results. I think that illustrates sometimes what we're not able to capture, where it's like sometimes guys move in a very odd way and are able to create angles for hitters that they really struggle with, despite maybe any stuffed model saying it's not a particularly strong pitch. There's always outliers. It's just really unfortunate some of the injury stuff he's run into.
Yeah, one down here in the 9th, 5-3 Cubs. Milan Tolentino, the shortstop, at the plate. Wick deals. Right, foul. Yeah, Wick, one of those success stories from the Cubs pitching lab. He started his major league career with the San Diego Padres. Then he came to the Cubs and they changed the grip on his pitches. So again, very effective. The irregular heartbeat cost him 2022. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 2 away. Here's a look at Steinhoffel's upcoming schedule for the Cubs. They take on the San Diego Padres tomorrow afternoon. And then Tuesday back here on Marquee, a night game as the Cubs take on Kansas City. Petey Halpin hits a fly ball to deep right center field. Going back and making the catch fittingly is the Jaguar, Kevin Alcantara. Game over, Cubs win, and it's time to hear that song. Baseball season's underway. Well, you better get ready for a brand new day. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. They're singing, go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Cubs win. They improve to 5-4-1 this spring, thanks to some Powerball in Mesa today over the Guardians. For Lance Brazdowski, Elise Menaker, and our entire crew, I'm Zach Zaidman. Thanks for watching Chicago Cubs Spring Training Baseball here on Marquee Sports Network. A 5-3 win over the Guardians, your final score from Mesa. Check back with us on Tuesday at 7 in the evening as the Cubs will be on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. Stay tuned for Major League Rugby, coming up next on Marquee Sports Network at 5 o'clock. It's the Miami Sharks versus the Chicago Hounds at Florida Blue Turf Field. Frankie Dejas and Marcelo Bosch will have the call. Have a good rest of your Sunday afternoon, everyone.